Hey, what is happening, guys and gals? My name is Hamilton25, aka Savion Hamilton. Welcome back to another discussion video as we'll be talking about TV shows, movies, or whatever I want to talk about. Obviously, I really want to talk about this show. We're talking about The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Lives. Now, before I begin, let me just say this. Yes, I did watch The Walking Dead. I am a big Walking Dead fan. I read the comics and I watched the show. Not all of it. I stopped watching the show after season 9, episode 5 because I felt like, Rick Grimes was the character. He was the main protagonist of the show. And when Rick left the show, I stopped watching it because I'm like, well, it's not, no matter what characters they have, and don't get me wrong, I love Daryl, I love Carol, and I like Michonne, but for me, they weren't strong enough to lead. Now, from what I've been told, people have told me that the show has been really well written. Even though the show ended last year, I had people who still watched it. Yeah, the show is still pretty good. You should give it a chance and all. I say, yeah, but again, I'm like some of the story they needed Rick Grimes, and it doesn't feel right to have like other characters take part of his main story, just like from the comic. But again, the comic is the comic, and the show is the show, and all that stuff. So yeah. So let's talk about this show. But before we have to talk about what happened, how did we get to this show? It's simple. In season 9, Andrew Lincoln announced that he was leaving the show. And a lot of people were upset about that. Yours truly. I was very sad because, again, Rick Grimes is The Walking Dead. And we started with Rick Grimes, and we should have ended with Rick Grimes. And I surely stand with that. So Andrew Lincoln decided to leave the show. He claims that the reason why he wanted to leave was because he wanted to be home with his family. I think he was upset because of how Carl's death was. Because originally, Carl was not supposed to die. The only reason why they killed off Carl, which he died in season 8, was because they were trying to find a way to keep Negan alive. And Negan overall was the death of the show. I think his character kind of ruined the show in season 7. And season 7 was really freaking boring. Like, I was so bored because they wanted to show Negan as like a powerful threat. Like, they wanted to show that he's more powerful than the governor, but I still think the governor was still one of my favorite villains in the show. But obviously, Negan, they kept Negan alive, and they killed off Carl, which again, some people didn't like Carl. I liked Carl, but again, I know there were some points where he became really annoying. But overall, Andrew Lincoln left the show. I thought they were going to kill his character off, which I thought they would do. But no, instead of killing his character off, what they did was they wrote him off. They wrote him off the show where he gets saved while Rick is bleeding. He sacrifices with the blow at the bridge, and Jada sends him to the helicopter, which she was trying to get away. And she told them that she had a B, and they thought it was an A. But an A and B is basically like this. If you're considered as an A, you get sent to a laboratory as a test subject. If you're a B, you get sent to this you get sent to the CRM, who are the big threats, and I'm going to talk about how their role is. But overall, you get sent to the military, and they turn you into a military soldier for the CRM. So Jadis takes Rick, and they fly away. We haven't seen Rick since the finale, which I know he had a brief cameo where they showing him trying to escape from the CRM, and he gets sent right back. So that's what they were trying to show. I thought that was pretty cool to see Rick again. So the timeline can be a little messed up from the show. But yeah, we were supposed to have 3 movies. You were going to have 3 movies. The Rick Grimes movies. They were going to be in theater. Of course, COVID happened and COVID changed their plans. And then they were still going to do the movies. And then they say, let's do the spin-off show. So that's what they did. So they did a spin-off show. Oh, and a year after Rick left, Danai Gurira, who plays Michonne, she left the show too. And I think she had other projects too. And then we were told that they were doing a spinoff for Rick and Michonne. And then Danai Gurira and Andrew Lincoln both said they want to finish the story for Rick and Michonne. So, pointless what this show is. This show right here the main plot was for Michonne to bring back Rick home. That was the plot of the show. Now, I will talk about the different episodes. I'm not going to review all of them, but I'm going to talk about like the main point of the story. So basically, my main questions were, where was Rick and why he couldn't escape? That was my main questions overall. And they answered it. Again, the CRM are very powerful. And over the past, Rick's been trapped there for 8 years. 8 years he's been trapped. And he's been trying to escape to get home to his family. And obviously, the CRM has held him prisoner there for years. And the first episode shows Rick trying to escape again, and they actually did the comic thing where I never thought they would do. So if you didn't read the comics, in the comics, Rick loses his right hand in the comics by the governor. The governor cuts his hand off. But instead, in the show, Rick cuts his own hand off. He cuts off his left hand. Because I know Andrew Lincoln has always said in interviews that he wanted Rick to lose his hand. And AMC was like, no, because of the budget, and you have, the green screen of covering Rick's hand and all that. But of course, Andrew Lincoln, they did every episode, they do inside, they talk about the production of the episode. And Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrero said, look, we got to do the hand thing. We got to have Rick lose his hand or something. And of course, the writers were like, are you sure about that? I'm like, yes, let's do it. And they did it. So again, I thought that was pretty cool. Rick loses his left hand, he bleeds, and he tries to escape, and then the CRM stop him. And overall, you meet a character named Thorn, which her character was sort of annoying. I didn't really like her character. She was just, I don't know. I thought she could be cool, but then later episodes, they show her as kind of annoying. So the episode basically is for Okavor, who's only in one episode. Let me let you guys something know. A lot of characters die in this show, so expect a lot of deaths. All the side characters pretty much die. So that's just a heads up. So Okavor, he's trying to change the CRM because Rick and Thorn find out that the CRM are killing innocent people. They kill innocent people. They do these horrific crimes, and they basically bring people here as prisoners. You're forced as a prisoner over here. There's no escaping. That's what the CRM do. Okavor is trying to change that. He's like the general. He's above General Beale, who is the main commissioner, the general. He's the captain of. He's in charge of the CRM. So Okavor is trying to convince Rick to join him to help him change it. And obviously, he knows about Michonne and everything, and he tells Rick. Basically, the first episode is about the Rick Grimes story, where he's telling Rick that you have to let her go, and he talks about where he had to kill his wife. And some people were talking about maybe there might be a point where Rick is gonna have to make a choice of killing Michonne. And I said that'll be one of the stupidest things they ever do. I've said there's no way in hell Rick would kill Michonne. But obviously, the reunion. So Rick joins. He accepts. It's you know what? I can't go back home, so what I can do is change the CRM's code. So Rick and Thorn team up with Okavor. They're trying to change the thing. So we got in a couple months thing where Rick and Okavor are in the helicopter, and the helicopter crash, and we get the Rick and Michonne reunion. I thought it was really cute. I loved it. It was very sweet, and again, it was great. Episode 2 was mostly about Michonne's story, where they talk about how she finds Rick. It's not really much. It's just, she finds a community and they help her find her husband. And, a lot of those people die. So, again, those people die. And Rick brings back Michonne in episode 2 and tells her, do not tell them who you are because we can't go back home and everything. So, yeah. Episode 3, we find out that Jadis finds out that Michonne is in the CRM. She tells Rick, look, if you go back to Alexandria, you will get everyone killed. She wrote a ledger about Rick and Michonne and Alexandria and everything, so that if anything happens to her or if they leave and go back home, the CRM are gonna go and kill everyone from Alexandria. So obviously that's Rick's fear. So Rick is trying to get Michonne to leave, to get her to leave, because he even told you, look, if Michonne goes back home and doesn't tell no one about me, then please don't get my family killed. I'll stay and she goes. So that's Rick's trying to do. And then obviously, General Beale promoted, what's her name? Thorn as she took Okafor's spot, and then she completely said, Okafor's wrong. Jenna reveals his way is more right and all that. So Rick is stunned that she basically turned her back on Okafor. So they go back. So Rick and Michonne have an argument. Rick and Michonne have their little moment. They're trying to talk. Michonne is trying to get Rick to come home. Rick says, "Look, I can't go back home." And then we jump into episode 4 where they're leaving. They're on the helicopter. And Michonne throws Rick off the helicopter. Again, I didn't really like episode 3. Episode 3 was not really that good. Oh, and Thorne, she's not a good leader. And she doesn't know what she's doing and all that. So that's why I didn't really like. Episode 4, which is my favorite, Rick and Michonne they go to this building thing and they talk. Michonne tells Rick about RJ and everybody else, about Alexandria and everything. And Rick is still saying, "Look, we have to go back." And he tells Michonne that Jadis will freaking kill everyone we know. Like, even if we kill her, they'll find a note about Alexandria. And then they're like, well, Michonne's like, we can go back and get the ledger, then kill her, then leave. And they have like a little back and forth. It was a filler episode, but I thought the episode was really well written. It was written by Denai Guerrero. It is my favorite episode of the series. Episode 4 and episode 1 are both my favorite episodes of the series. So Rick and Michonne argue, and they take down some walkers. They come back. And obviously, Michonne tells Rick that if you love me, then don't follow her. And of course, she's heartbroken. And then, of course, Michonne leaves, and Rick follows after her. They take down more walkers. He helps her. They get back in the room. And then we get the sex scene, the love scene. And Rick, I don't know what the hell he was doing. Because if you watch the scene, he's breathing. Like, I've never heard someone breathe so hard. Like, he's like breathing hard and staring at Michonne. I'm like, you all right there, buddy? I was watching on my phone. I was like, what the? I'm like, you okay, Rick? I get you haven't seen your woman in a long time, but you all right? And then they go through the moment. And then they talk about RJ. And then, obviously, Michonne and Rick have a moment where Rick talks about what the CRM did to him. So basically, the reason why he's afraid to go back is because he's terrified of what happened. Like, they took Carl away from him. Basically, imagine not seeing a person for a long time and you start losing memories of what they look like. And that's what the CRM did. And then Rick talked about that he lost Carl in his dreams, and then he lost Michonne, and he talked about, like, he can't live with Michonne getting killed because he doesn't want the CRM to kill her. He said, look, if you go, then I lose myself and all that stuff. And then obviously Rick and Michonne have a moment. And Michonne hands Rick the cell phone of a drawing of Carl. So that was really cool. We got to see a Carl photo thingy. It was a drawing of Carl, and then Rick realizes that, you know what, I should go back home. So episode 4, they leave off and they go home. And I'm like, man, this would have been a perfect send-off to the episode. And of course, Scott Gimple said that if The Walking Dead wasn't all that bad, this would be a true happy ending. But it's The Walking Dead. You never get a true happy ending. Then we jump into episode 5. Episode 5, Rick and Michonne are heading back to Alexandria. And then we found out that Jadis has been tracking them because Rick and Michonne left some noodles. They found noodles in a van. And they've been leaving wrappers. And Jadis is like, you know, and the funny part about this, and this was one of the most stupidest thing of the plot that I didn't like. So Rick and Michonne find a group. They help them. They trying to rob them. And then Rick and Michonne take them down, get their noodles back. They find a cabin. They stay the night for the cabin. And they're both sleeping. And Jadis comes in and wakes them up. It would have made more sense if she could have just took them out in their sleeps. But nope, she's like, I gotta wake him up and do my bad guy monologue and everything. So she's like, you know what, I'm gonna kill both of you, and I'm gonna go back and tell the CRM that we found you two dead. And it was actually kind of funny. And Michonne tries to Jadis tries to shoot Rick and Michonne. They hide behind the bed. Rick uses the bed as a shield, throws it at her, and they go off and chase her. Also, we do get a flashback of Father Gabriel. So apparently Gabriel, he was a special guest in this episode. Apparently every once a year on the exact same day, which I find that kind of weird. It's like, it's a zombie apocalypse. How can you keep track of the day? But anyways, uh, Jadis and Father Gabriel meet every once a year at a spot, and they talk and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, I didn't really care for Father Gabriel. He's not really an interesting character. He's just, a character who I don't really like him. He's just, he doesn't really interest me. Like, I don't know. Some people like his character. I don't really like Father Gabriel. I'm just being honest. And I'm surprised he outlived his comic death, because in his comic death, he gets eaten, I think, in issue 31, I think, somewhere around that time. He gets devoured by walkers. He gets tripped, and he gets devoured by walkers. But anyways, yeah, so Rick and Michonne go out to Jadis, and Rick tells what's the plan. Michonne's like, we're gonna kill her and everything. So they injured her. She in a car wreck. They injured her. She finds the same group that Rick and Michonne met earlier, and she tells them, look, if you help me take down these two, I have a big community. They come in, they meet at this wooden cabin thingy, they fight. The group people die. They get bitten by walkers. Jadis, her death scene was a little bit too long, but she gets bit. Rick and Michonne basically trick her, and she gets bit, and then she talks about, saying that, what, I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to her monologue. Her monologue was just too long, and all I know is that she was talking about you two deserve happiness, something like that. I know somebody's going to come and say, well, it's not what she said. I know, but I don't really care. Her monologue was too boring. All I know is that she told them where the ledger is, and then Rick and Michonne told her that they're going to go back to the CRM, and they're going to change it and everything. So that's what they were talking about. And that's when the episode ends. I'm like, that should have been the plan in the first place. Go back and destroy the ledger and change the CRM, not go back to Alexandria. But they go up to the helicopter. They go to Jadis' helicopter, and then Rick gets his ring out, proposes to her, and that's the end of episode 5. Episode 6 was, you can tell, it was completely rushed. But again, I'm gonna talk about the episode, and I'll give my overall what I think about it and how I feel. But anyways, episode 6, Rick goes back to the CRM, and they're surprised to see him, and then we get like a ninja scene where Michonne jumps in and all that. So Michonne, her plan is she's going to go find the ledger and destroy it. And then they're going to leave after they destroy the ledger. Rick's plan is to go kill General Beale. So we see Thorne. Thorne talks about he's surprised that Rick survived the helicopter crash and all that. She says, see, Grimes, me and you, we're going to lead this thing. And Rick's like, he's pretending, like, yeah, we're going to lead them, whatever. So obviously, General Beale told Rick he wants to meet with Rick in his office. They go in his office. Michonne finds the ledger, reads it, crumbles it, rips up in pieces, and then she grabs it all and carries her in her bag. And then she kills one of the CRM lady guards. Rick and General Beale are talking, and of course, it was kind of weird. Rick and General Beale are talking about his sword. Like, he talks about how special the sword is. Then he asks Rick, what is the most horrific thing you've ever did? And Rick said, well, I bit a guy's neck, and I stabbed this one dude from trying to, he didn't say rape, but he was the guy who was trying to rape Carl. And then he talked about how he lost his son. And then General Beale's like, yeah, like, I understand losing people and all that stuff, but you could have went back home, but you didn't. You came back, and I'll tell you what, you can bring back your people, whoever, your loved ones or your family or whoever, you can bring them back over here. We'll kill everybody else, but we won't kill them. We can bring them in. And of course, Rick is holding a blade, and of course they're talking and all that, and then Rick grabs the sword, and he tries to stab General Beale. The fight scene was kind of disappointing. I'm not going to lie. It was very disappointing. General Beale really didn't put up a fight. The fight scene went like 3 minutes. They're fighting, and Rick uses General Beale's sword to kill General Beale. He just stabs the sword right to Rick's hand, and Rick stabs General Beale with his own sword, stabbing the sword to General Beale's hand. And I'm like, really? That's it? And then Rick talks about, we're gonna change. I don't know, some stuff like that. I remember just watching like, what the frick am I watching? Like, well, you can't just. There's no way you kill General Beale like that. And of course, Rick pushes the sword further in and kills General Beale. Rick and Michonne are leaving. Michonne is watching these docs where they talk about what they're gonna do to communities and bring in people and all that extra stuff. And I'm thinking like, okay, interesting. And of course, Michonne's like, you know what? We gotta show the Civil Republic how dangerous the CRM really are. So Rick grabs General Beale's body, placed in the box. He's in the elevator with another CRM guard, and there's blood leaking from the box. And the guard looks down. Rick punches him. They have a fight, a great fight scene. And of course, Rick kills the CRM dude guard, uses his prosthetic hand, and he starts beating the crap out of the dude. And I said, holy crap, that looks so freaking dope. But Rick beats up the dude. Michonne tells them, Rick's like, okay, let's go. Michonne goes, no, we can't leave. We need to we need to take down the CRM and show them that what their way is doing. And Rick's like, you know, we could just leave right now. And she said, yes, but we gotta like take these people down. So Rick and Michonne, which again, this was all rushed. So what they did was they planned to use a bomb. They're gonna blow up the CRM. So they're gonna use the Walker General Beale and Walker CRM dude. And I don't know how the freak he came back because the dude got his brain bashed in. But I guess they both come back as walkers. Rick and Michonne wire them up to the bombs and all that. And Thorne finds out that Rick betrayed. Rick left his prosthetic hand, which I didn't like that. I said, come on, bro, you're going to need that. Which I predicted he was going to need it. But anyways, I know this is long, guys, but we're almost done. Rick and Michonne, they set the bomb triggers and all that. And Rick and Michonne get the bomb triggers. Thorne finds both of them, tells them that they're going to go back and they're going to pay for what they did. And of course, General Beale and the Walker General Beale and the other Walker walk around and they pull the trigger and the whole thing explodes. And the city is covered, the CRM area is covered with gas, the poison toxic gas. The same gas that killed Michonne's friend. So Rick is using a mouth cover. Rick and Michonne are using a mouth cover. And Thorne is wearing her gas mask. And we have a fight scene. So they blow up. They kill all of the CRM members. All of them. They all get blown up. Some of them come back as walkers. And we have a bunch of walker CRMs. So we have the fight scene between Rick and Thorne. It's like a 2-minute fight scene. And of course, Rick's getting his butt kicked. I'm like, Rick, you should have kept your prosthetic. It would have been really cool to keep your prosthetic. Michonne and Rick fight. Michonne fights Thorne. They have a quick fight scene. Rick is getting drawn by walkers. Rick and Thorne and Michonne are fighting. Michonne stabs Thorne in the side. And then there's a grenade. Rick uses a grenade, if I remember the bomb. And he blows up the walker, which I'm surprised. And I like Rick. I really do like Rick. But there's no way Rick could have survived being swarmed by walkers. He doesn't even get bit. They're not even trying to bite him. They're just trying to wrap their arms around him. There's no way in hell Rick could survive that. And again, I love Rick. I really do like Rick. But they made him so invincible where he won't get bit. So they kill Thorne. Thorne is bleeding out. And he talks about, you know what? You were right. I was wrong. Okavor was right. I should have listened. And then Michonne said something about love. And then the episode shows that the Civil Republic learns about the CRM, saying that people do not have to stay if they don't want to stay and all that. So they're walking. We get in the helicopter scene. Rick and Michonne are in the helicopter. Rick is nervous. He's shaking his hand. He's nervous. Michonne grabs his hand, which I like. Because again, Rick has never seen his kids. He doesn't know what Judas looks like. He doesn't know what his son looks like. So, of course, he'd be nervous. I like that. The acting was really well. So, the helicopter lands. Well, before it lands, Michonne grabs the radio and says, Jojo, is Naito. Are you there? And they get to the helicopter. The helicopter lands. Rick and Michonne run out. They see their kids. You see RJ, the RJ actor, and the Judith actor. They run. First, it was kind of weird. They run to Michonne first, and Michonne holds both of them. Rick's just in the back like, okay, what about me, guys? Don't forget about Dad. Dad's back. So they have a moment with Michonne, and then Judith looks up, sees Rick, jumps in, gives him a hug. Rick holds her tight, saying, "Oh my Lord!" Like he has not seen how big Judith is, so he's so happy to see her. And then we have a little moment where Judith talks about, "I knew you'd come back. I'm glad you weren't alone," and all that. And Rick talked about he was alone, but then he was able to, have hope. Rick meets RJ. RJ says, "Is that the brave man?" And then Rick says, "Yes, I am." And Rick comes in. I like how he fixes the hat. He's like, "Come on, let me fix that hat for you." He comes in and says, "But maybe you can start calling me Dad." And they hug. And, well, before they hug, RJ says, "I knew you would come. I believed in you." And then Rick said, "What made you think that? What made you believe?" And then RJ said, "I believe." And they run in to give a hug. And then the episode ends where the Grimes family is reunited. And you see the helicopter coming in with a bunch of supplies and all that for Alexandria. Well, the Commonwealth, either way. And that's how the episode ends. And they did show set footage behind the scenes. I know there was one deleted scene where Rick and Michonne and RJ and Judith were having a picnic and all that. Or maybe that was just the cast, but they show footage and all that. And yeah, the episode ends of Rick reuniting with his family. Let me just say this. The ending was phenomenal. I loved it. I was happy. It was basically it was for the fans. A fan service for the people supporting the show. Rick got the happy ending, and he got to be with his wife, Michonne, and his daughter and his son. And he got to have a happy life. And I'm not gonna lie, I was covered in tears. It was very emotional for me, and I was very happy to see Rick get his family his happy moment. Because remember, in the show, Rick lost his son and he lost his wife, Lori. But now he finally has a chance to live a normal, happy life with his kids and his wife. Now, the General Bill boss fight was very disappointing. It was rushed. I didn't like that. I was very upset. I was very disappointing about how that was, and the CRM getting beaten in one episode again was rushed. I didn't like it. They should have gave this show about either 8 episodes, 8 or 7, not 6. 6 was not enough. Because I remember like thinking, dang, like I actually love this show. Now it sucks that the show is over. And the question is, what's next for Rick Grimes? Is there going to be a season 2? They said never say never. But I don't think there should. Rick Grimes got the perfect ending. There's no point of bringing him back. I believe that. Now, I know some people are upset that Rick didn't reunite with the other Alexandria members. Look, the show had a limited budget, and I'm pretty sure the actors from the show weren't going to just fly in and do like a quick scene, like a one scene type thing for free. Because when you're an actor, if you're doing a scene, you want to get paid. So of course, I can imagine they didn't have enough budget to pay for the other actors to come in and join. But obviously, so that I understand that part. It's a limited budget. There's only so much you can do for a limited budget. But I strongly believe that this show should have at least had either 8 episodes or 9 or 7. But 6 was not enough. They rushed everything. And obviously, I guess they rushed it because they want to get to this moment, which is cool. But I strongly believe if you're going to have a great ending moment, take your time. Don't rush to it. Take your time. But do I think we'll see Rick Grimes and Michonne? I don't think Andrew Lincoln should come back. I think his story, the Rick Grimes story, is complete. His main goal was to find his family, and he got it. What other ending can you do? There's nothing that can top that. Yeah, you could probably do General Beale's son getting revenge for the next season. I don't know why they would, because honestly, we never met General Beale's son. And I don't get how he can lead the CRM, because the CRM's all taken down. All of them died. So there's no way they can do that. Unless there's more on the other side of the world and they find out that his father's dead and he comes back and hunts Alexandria, which I wouldn't like that. That's just, it's too much. I think the ending was very satisfying, and I don't think we'll see, well, I think we'll see Rick and Michonne reunite with Daryl and Carol. And then that's how the story will end. Like, that's how The Walking Dead should end. I don't think there should be another season. There should not be a season 2. I think the show is done. We got the ending. We got to see Rick and Michonne and Judith and RJ reunite all together. You can't top that. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot top that. How can you top that? Now, we could get a Daryl season 3 show, and then we get the reunion there where Rick and Daryl reunite. But I don't want to see them trying to change this. And of course, Scott Gimple did say that he was interviewed by comicbook.com, and they asked him, was the plan ever to kill off Rick or Michonne? And he said that was never on the table. That was never on the table to kill off Rick. And I'm glad they didn't do it. I think Rick should have a happy ending. His comic book character had a different ending, which kind of sucked. Because if it was if Robert Kirkman was writing this show, he would have got Rick killed off. But no, yeah, I thought, overall, I loved the show. It was really good. Out of 1 to 5, I give this show a 4. 4, that seems fair, a 4. Because I know some people are complaining about the other stuff. And again, I liked every single episode. There was, I think the least episode I didn't like was episode 3. 3 was not it was my least. It was good, but it wasn't my favorite. 4 and 1 are both my favorites. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching my review. I know this was a long review, but I had to get this done, and I want to talk about this show. It's been about to be 2 weeks now, and I wanted to share my thoughts on it. And yeah, but let me know in the comment section below. Did you enjoy The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Lived? Did you like the ending? Did you like how the CRM were taken down in one episode, or were you hated? Let me know in the comment section below. And I will see you guys later. Anyways, God bless. Take care. See you later. Bye-bye.